taken the time to get to know all of you because I keep to myself and I'm really scared to talk to people. So I hope nobody ever takes it personally, but so I never ever thought that I would do this. Like, even when I'm like 50, like I never imagined that I would do anything public speaking because it's like my biggest fear ever. And this is not going to be like preachy or like a sermon or anything like what Catherine does, because she's kind of out there and I'm clearly not. This is going to be more of like a story, like stuff about myself and things that nobody really knows and probably would ever guess. And it's probably going to shock some people, but I think that by sharing and not keeping it in like I have for many years, it will be good for me and good for other people to hear, so hopefully I can help somebody in some way. But over like the last 6 years or so, since I was about 15, I have just like literally hated myself. And like in every sense, I feel fat, I think I'm ugly. Like there are times that I didn't want to leave my house. I would spend like hours fixing my hair and my makeup and stuff, and like striving for perfection, and it wasn't possible because nobody's perfect. And then I didn't tell anybody because I thought that I was just being like too concerned with things, and nobody would take it seriously. So I just never said anything, and over the years it just got worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where like the only person that knows any of this is William. Even he doesn't know like really the extent of some stuff because I don't talk about it really. But I mean, it got to the point where I was so like just disgusted with myself that I would not want to leave the bed. Like I wouldn't want to get up in the morning, and when I would get up, I would just like be counting down the hours until I could go back to bed. And it wasn't even just about like I'm tired, I want to sleep. It was just I would just lay there and like stare at the wall. Anything to not have to be around people or feel like people are looking at me, because I feel like everyone is always looking at me and they're like, that poor girl is so ugly. Like I feel so bad for her. And like when I ride down the road, I feel like the people in the cars are looking at me, and like when I walk in public, like I walk around like this sometimes, which is really just awkward, and you know, I'm sure people notice that something is wrong. And so for a long time I didn't know that what I was going through like had a name, and it was actually a very serious mental illness. And Catherine did a like video thing on it when she was in some year of her college, and I watched it, and it was like it just hit me like this is exactly what I'm going with. This psychological issue is how I feel. And so this was in 2010 or 11, I think. And so I started doing my own research on it, and I was like constantly on Google, like reading all kinds of stuff about it, and I found out that it was body dysmorphic disorder, and I'm sure nobody's probably ever heard of it because I never have before this. And it's a very serious mental illness where people, and it affects boys and girls equally. Like it's not just girls that think they're not pretty, it can be anything, and it affects just as many guys as it does girls. And it's where like you fixate on flaws or things that you don't like about yourself, and they become an obsession, and you try to cover them, or you go to like crazy lengths to do this. And BDD is what it's called for short, but it is one of the things that I've read said that it is the #1 most like tormented mentally disease that there is in the mental illness realm. Because when it's about yourself, you can't get away from it. You can't hide from yourself. You're just stuck. And the suicide rates are very, very high for BDD. Luckily, I've never even had a thought like that because I have hope. And it's sad that the people that resort to that are at such a low place that they don't see hope and they don't see the other side. Also, sadly, I can understand why people would feel that way without hope, but that's why it's so important to have God in your life, because these, I go to therapy, and I go every week, and I'm 4 months into my recovery process, I call it, and my therapist, she made me, in my second or third visit, she made me personify what I felt like my illness looked like, and I had to draw a picture of it, and I'm not a good artist, but I called it my darkness, and I drew a picture of a little sick person in the corner, and there was this fog of darkness that surrounded it. And because that's what it is, it's obviously none of these thoughts or feelings come from God. They're all evil, and not that they're any less real, but they're bad. And it's just this darkness that just engulfs me, and I physically sometimes can't breathe. It weighs me down, and it's really, really scary. And then since I started therapy, I went to another doctor and got diagnosed with major depression and anxiety. And I'm not diagnosed with OCD, but BDD is a form of OCD, and so there are a lot of obsessions and compulsions that go along with it. And so it's between all of these things, they're all in my head, and they're all battling against each other, and so it's just one big mess. It's and so it's all of these, and then I went to therapy on Tuesday, and she asked me to describe again something, and I described that there's this little evil creature that sits on my shoulder, on one side, and he's right here, and he just whispers things at me, and William knows, when I think something, it just spirals, and I run with it, and there's no turn back. Once I have a thought, whether it's true or not, it's my reality, and I'm not going to change my mind about it. And so that's a very bad thing, because it's very black and white, and usually it's a lot of black. There's a lot more darkness than there is light, I feel like. And it'll just say things like, you're not skinny enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not worthy of love, and all your friends abandon you, because sadly that's experiences that I've gone through, is people just leaving me, and I always feel that it's my fault, I've done something wrong, or I'm not a good enough friend for people to want to stick around. And so that's why I've become so withdrawn, because I just feel nobody likes me, nobody wants to be around me, and stuff like that. And so, but through my recovery process so far, I'm still in the middle of it. I'm not recovered. I don't want it to come across like I'm better, because I'm not. I'm still in the middle of a lot of this. But compared to where I was, I've come so far, and that never would have happened had I not made the decision to admit that I had a problem and become open about it and seek help. And a lot of people, they think that admitting to having a problem is a sign of weakness, especially for guys, I'm sure. I don't know. But I can't imagine that anybody wants to admit to having a problem that they need help for. And it was really hard for me too. But once you make the decision to get help, then it's all uphill from there. And there will still be bad days and stuff, but it's so much better than just sulking in misery all the time.
Right.
And I haven't looked at any of my notes yet.
Okay.
I want to hear that Christians are not exempt from struggles. And a lot of people don't want to believe that Christians can experience mental illness, because they think, well, you can just pray about it and it'll get better. Or, Christians can't be depressed because they have so much to be happy about. Which is true in a lot of senses, but it doesn't mean that just because you believe in God that you're not going to go through things. Now that I've been through all of this, I've made friends literally all over the world. I have friends in the UK and Canada and everywhere, and we all have the same things going on, and we text and talk and stuff. And I can actually say now that even though the past few years have been really hard and draining and miserable, I'm very happy that God has put this stuff on me, because I know He did it for a reason. And because had I not gone through this stuff, I would have never reached out to certain people, or certain people would have never messaged me. And like to get some of the messages that I receive of people saying like, you've inspired me to become open about this, or even, I've had some people like ask me about God just because like on Instagram they found me through hashtags, and then we'll get to talking. There was one girl from the UK that sent me a message, and she has BED as well, and she was getting ready to commit suicide. And I told Catherine about this. It was like three or four Thursdays ago, and she found my Instagram through a hashtag, and she sent me a message, and we talked, and she ended up, she's trying to stop self-harming and stuff, and she messaged me last week, like an update, and she said, I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't come across your account and you hadn't taken the time to talk to me, because she was just in that low of a place. And I could say like, oh, I gave her hope and I made her, feel better, but it wasn't me, it was God. And it's a miracle that she even found me. And so just the fact that I was able to share like the hope that I found with her was really cool to me. And I think that's just the beginning. That's just one person, but I feel like over the course of this journey, like I want to help like hundreds of people or thousands of people somehow.
Yeah.
And then it says the war going on in your mind, like whose side are you on? Because there's always going to be two sides in your mind, good and evil, that are going to be fighting like for your life, which is physically in any realm or whatever, but specifically mentally. There's going to be Satan, who is, like that little thing on my shoulder that's, just gnawing away at you. And then there's going to be a good side over here. And I guess you just have to make up in your mind which voice are you going to listen to. And for a very, very long time, I listened to the wrong one, and I believed every bit of it. And, nobody knows this, but, with like my body and feeling like I was fat, this thing was telling me, you need to be skinnier, you need to have a thigh gap, you need to do all this stuff. And I'm even still in some of that now. Like, it's not all just past, but like, it's exhausting, and I'm trying to realize that it's not worth it, but I'm still working through it. Also, there is a difference between being sad and being depressed, and a lot of people, they throw around a lot of words not knowing what they really mean, and people will just say like, oh, I'm so depressed because my favorite show went off, or I'm so depressed because I don't want to go to school today. And what people don't understand is that like depression is a very, very serious illness. Like, it's a disease, and like it's totally okay to be sad and upset, and I'm sad for a lot of reasons, and I used to not know the difference too, but now that I know, like, I will never confuse the two ever again. Depression is the #1 cause for suicide, and suicide is the #2 leading cause of death in young people in America. And so, like, depression is not something to be taken lightly at all. It's very serious, and if anyone in here even thinks that you may have depression, like, seriously, I'm here for anybody to talk to, or I know Catherine is. Because if you let it just go and go and go, it will overtake your life, and then you may get to a point where you don't think you can get out. So it's best to call it out in the beginning and just say, this is not the life that God has for me, and I'm going to push it out and take a different road. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all to make that decision. And you can't just kick it out on your own. You have to have God on your side. And sometimes still treatment is necessary. I believe that God gives us doctors and certain resources for reasons. That doesn't mean to stop praying.
Right.
Also, I'm not going to talk a lot about these two things, but eating disorders and self-harm, which I know we don't talk about this stuff in churches because people don't like to talk about it because it's awkward and people get nervous and stuff, but it's a very, very big thing in society right now. And I just want to say, if you have like self-harm thoughts or urges tendencies, you're worth more than that, and you don't have to resort to that. You know, God took all of the pain and stuff back then so that we wouldn't have to now. And like, I would say if he knew, but of course he knows. Like, he knows what we're doing to ourselves, and it breaks his heart, I'm sure, to know that, you know, he doesn't want his people to hurt unintentionally, but especially intentionally. And with eating disorders, they can also affect just as many guys as they can girls. And I know people always picture like anorexic girls, like, and they'll be like, oh, well, just eat, or just eat a hamburger or something. And that is not at all how it is. It's also a very serious mental thing. And so be careful with that, because one little thought can spiral and lead to so many different things, and they are very deadly, literally deadly. And also, mental illness does not discriminate against anybody. Like, it happens to men, women, young, old, you know, no matter what race you are, what religion you are, it can happen to anybody. And it doesn't make anybody less of a person because they're going through hard times at all. People, they have like this mindset towards people that suffer from this stuff. It's like that they're crazy, or they should be in like a mental hospital or something. And what people don't know is that you encounter people every single day that are battling in their mind. And you don't know, because it's so easy to not let it show. Just like I'm sure a lot of people would never guess any of this about me, because I try, like, especially on like social media, like I try to portray my life that it's like perfect and everything's great, and I go to concerts and I do fun things, and that's all true, but it's like when I'm alone or at night, it's not the same that it seems to people. And so you really never know what somebody's going through. And I know what inspired me to like want to speak is what Catherine spoke about the first week on the speaking. I don't remember what it was, but when she was talking about how like use your words to speak life and not death, that just really, really hit me, because of all the things that I've been going through and like how I feel about myself, it's been very easy for me to put down other people to make myself feel better. Like, just girls, really, like, not guys. I don't care about guys. But like I would look at girls and I would just like internally like hate them and think really mean things or say mean things to make myself feel better, and it doesn't do any good. Like, it doesn't make them make me any prettier. Like, it doesn't. All it does is make me compare myself to other people and then dislike myself even more. And so one thing that Taylor gave me a journal from back in my birthday, like in December, and I made a list of my goals for 2015, and one of them was to like uplift and encourage like other girls instead of put them down. And that was before Kath and I ever spoke about that. And I'm not there yet. Like, every day I have to remind myself, like, don't think mean thoughts about her. But I can tell, like, on the times that I do really try, I feel better when I've encouraged somebody or complimented somebody than I ever did when I was putting them down. Because to know that, like, you've made somebody smile or, like, made their day is so much better than, like, hurting their feelings.
You're right.
Even if they don't know. Like, because I know, like, if people said things about me that I've said about other people, like, in my mind, that will, like, break my heart and hurt my feelings so much. Because, like, I don't even know these people. And then to think that people can be doing that to me when they don't even know me is really sad, because like, I want to do my best to be like the best version of myself that I can be. And some people are still not going to like me, and I'm coming to terms with like that that's okay, because not everybody's going to like everybody, but I know that the people that God wants to be in my life are here for a reason, and the ones that have left or abandoned me, I think were here for a season, and the ones that I have now are the ones that He knows that I need to get to where I'm going. And so the whole point of like the creativity of our words is that even though I'm still in the middle of it, that I can see what's on the other side, and I'm just going to keep pushing towards it as long as it takes, and I'm not just going to wake up one day and be better. Like, I'm not just just gonna wake up and be like, oh, I'm recovered today. I'm never gonna have a negative thought again. I'm not gonna be depressed anymore. It's a choice that you have to make every single day when you wake up to say that today's a new day and it's the day that God's made and He's got me covered today and He thinks I'm beautiful and no matter what anybody else says or what circumstances life throws at you. And then again, when you go to sleep, that when you lay down, because my mind goes crazy at night. And when I lay down, I just have to pray, God, please, don't let my thoughts get crazy tonight because I'll lay there all night and just think awful things. And so you just have to help God to guard your mind and guard your heart and just help you. Just because you need a lot of help when you're going through stuff like this. You can't do it on your own. And I only have two scriptures, so let me see, it's not really preachy.
Use that.
One of them is 2 Corinthians 12:7 through 10. This is in the Message because I like it because it's just plain and simple. But it says, because of the extravagance of those revelations, and so I wouldn't get a big head, I was given the gift of a handicap to keep me in constant touch with my limitations. Satan's angel did his best to get me down. What he in fact did was push me to my knees. No danger than a walking around high and mighty. At first, I didn't think of it as a gift, and I begged God to remove it. 3 times I did that, and He told me, my grace is enough, it's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness.
Come on.
Once I heard that, I was glad He let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in on my weakness. Now I take limitations in stride and with good cheer. These limitations that cut me down to size, abuse, accidents, opposition, bad breaks, I just let Christ take over. And so the weaker I get, the stronger I become. And I just love the Message because I like the part where it says so I wouldn't get a big head. Because a lot of people, and this is the whole point of this, a lot of people tell me I'm pretty all the time. And obviously I don't believe it. But that's kind of funny because it's had He not given me this handicap, I may get a big head because of all the things that I hear all the time. But I feel like this is, it's a gift because it's allowed me to not be full of myself, but through the journey to learn to accept myself and embrace it, I guess, even though it's not perfect and I feel like I still have a lot of work to do. But just to be thankful for everything that God has brought me from. And because when I think back to a couple of years ago before I told anybody about all this and how bad it was, but nobody knew, to think of how I am now and just how my whole mindset is different, and I have people that support and encourage me. It's just crazy because I never thought that I would be able to get better. I was just kind of sulking in it. I was just stuck, and I was like, this is the way life is going to be, and I'm just going to have to get used to it because I'm never going to get better. But now, I see life as a beautiful thing, and it's worth being lived to the fullest, not just sitting in my room every day. I want to get out and make new friends and do things. And my anxiety, I didn't even talk much about that, but it's really, really bad. Talking is scary. I still want my mom to go to appointments with me. I went to the chiropractor yesterday, and I made her go with me. And I'm 21 years old, and I'm scared to talk to people. Also, the chiropractor told me yesterday that I was 1 count away from having scoliosis, and my neck and back are so messed up that he couldn't even believe that a person as young as me had this stuff. And I realized that the reason that is because of my bad posture, because of the oppression and being weighed down from the depression, because I walk around like this all the time, because it's just my therapist would explain to me how when you feel that way, it's easy to draw into yourself and like this. And what she's trying to help me work on is to be open and approachable and things by standing up straight. So it's the mental stuff can affect the physical stuff. And that's just crazy to me, how it's all woven together, and humans are just incredible. And when you use the resources correctly and use your mind and body to do things for God's like will and whatever, instead of letting yourself stay in that place, it's really incredible. And so, I don't know if I'll ever speak again, because this has been enough scary to me for a lifetime. But I feel like now that I have, it's a big step that I never thought that I would do. And so, I'm thankful for the opportunity to get to do this, and I hope that everybody just continue to keep me in your prayers as I continue this journey. And if any of you need any prayer or just somebody to talk to, you can come to me, because I probably understand a lot more than you would think I do.